Effective board always starts with a strong vision for your district. The board sets this district, communicates it to the superintendent through goals, and it's the superintendent's job to make sure those goals are followed through. That's what an effective board should be able to do. So I see this also more as a volunteer position, as a second job. It's going to take many hours a month. It's more than just going to committee meetings and a board meeting monthly. It's hours on your own, researching, finding best practices, reaching your vision, and making sure that your superintendent is reaching that vision through goals.
Thanks, Mr. Robinson.
Yes, I guess one of the disadvantages of going last is you had 5 people already answer the question. All of those I thought were good examples of what board members should and maybe shouldn't do in some cases. Being as though he or she is the educational leader of the district, I see the #1 job as I don't know if you want to call it a floor or the ceiling or whatever. The #1 job is to get the right superintendent, the right captain for the educational ship in the district. So that's kind of where everything starts. As a single board member, frankly, you have very little power. It's set up that way on purpose. We have 8 other members. So we, as has been suggested,
Next time. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Robinson, you're right. I didn't get a chance to give you one to go first on, so I'll give you the next one.
That's okay. I can wait my turn, Mr. Scooflins.
Your turn has arrived, sir.
All right.
One of the things I think that is pretty topically current for most of the people in this room is the issue of send-receive relationships with Collingswood and other school districts.
Sure.
And there's 2 big ones that are being figured out right now for folks who are not up to speed. Oak Lynn, a study was recently completed by the Board of Education of Oakland that resolved that it's probably in the best interest of that district to deepen its send-receive relationship with Collingswood. Currently, Oakland sends its high schoolers to Collingswood. That report recommended that be expanded to include middle school kids from Oakland. And then at the same time, there's also a movement right now from the Woodland Board of Education to sever its send-receive relationship with Collingswood and to take some of the Woodland students and I'm not really quite sure how it worked, but I've been told a couple different things from some people in the know. The Pennsauken superintendent being one of them, where he said he kind of wants to make it available for kids from Woodland to choose to go to Pennsauken or to go to Collingswood. I'm not really familiar with whether that's a relationship that the Commissioner of Education is used to seeing, but the point kind of that I'd like to see if we can talk about is, can you explain just a little bit about how dependent the Collingswood School District and its financial health are on send-receive relationships, and if they're not the way of things to come, what would be some alternatives to this arrangement to retaining whatever the financial position of the district is relative to those relationships?
What's an alternative for Woodland?
Well, I'm just saying about send-receives in general, because,
okay.
And I'm asking you to speak from the perspective of the Collingswood Board.
Sure. Well, I guess I'll address the Oakland portion quickly. I mean, you I think pretty much summed it up. As far as Oakland coming here or any expansion of services, the ball's really kind of in their court right now. So as a Collingswood board, obviously we're staying in constant contact with them. We have a very good relationship with their board president, who also serves on our board. So we're certainly working with him and trying to figure out what's best. In terms of Woodland, they claim to be very early in the process. Facts say otherwise. We, as a Collingswood board and all the way up to the top administration, strongly believe that they will not be able to sever their relationship, that they do not meet any of the 3 prongs that are required. As a district, I mean, certainly, where there's a financial impact, obviously, but I think equally as important is...
Next time. Thank you very much. I'll give you an extra 10 seconds. Finish your sentence.
Well, equally as important is the addition to our community, to our school community, that Woodland students and the Oakland students add. I think they're a vital portion of, a vital part of our community.
Thank you.
And we will fight hard to keep them.
Thank you. And it's anyone else who would like to respond 30 seconds.
Sure. I was at that meeting, was it 2 Tuesdays ago. I went to the meeting, one, to see if the community there was in support of the severance. And as soon as the public comment section began, it was pretty obvious that they weren't. The room was about the size of the room here, and they were very upset. A few parents spoke, saying, "How are you doing this? We had no say in this." And I spoke as well, and I was upset, saying that, one of the reasons that I moved to this town and looked at the school district is because I grew up in a high school.
That's time. Thank you. You can finish your sentence.
I grew up in a high school with no diversity, and that's one of the reasons we moved here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to comment on this topic?
Sure, I'd like to make a comment about,
Sure.
mainly
and then Mr. Connor will go to you next. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
sorry.
Please, Mr. Becker.
Actually, I would make a comment about the Woodland thing. I think I would say, by what I've been able to read and understand, that I would definitely support the parents to be able to participate in the process. It seems as decisions being made without their consultation, without their involvement, and one wonders why that is happening. I really would support them being involved. I also would encourage the boards of both Collingswood and Woodland to meet and work on a solution that can be so that Woodland students can remain, and also that we spend time and effort in making sure we align curriculum so the students coming from
Mr. Becker.
that can succeed when they
That's time.
are here.
Mr. Connor, thank you very much.
Sure. So, I mean, for me, I think absolutely that there needs to be some community input and engagement, and clearly from Woodland's side that these decisions are being made without their input, and that's problematic. We're also part of this relationship, and I think that having some opportunities to hear from our own community about this subject is important. I also think that it's important to look not just how it's impacting things potentially right now, but also how the ESSA funding will be impacted in the future, including Title I money and also in food service. So it's a large issue.
That's done. Mr. Becker.
Your ultimate question, I thought, was about how financially we make up for losing those two districts. That was part of it. And that's a very tough question. And I hate to give a general answer, but honestly, it goes back to what I think another issue in general we have is about promoting our schools and the greatness that they have to offer so that we can potentially have other towns join us as sending districts. I think that's the best way to kind of get over this, but I hope we don't have to get over it in the end.
Thank you. Please.
The process, as opposed to Woodland, the process to sever a send and receive district like Woodland is a lengthy process and follows very strict guidelines. They would still have to do a feasibility study, and they would get back to us, in which we will respond as a board. All in all, I mean, we'll do what's best for Oakland and Woodland. We will do what's best for we put Collingswood first as our district. Okay.
Thank you. You have 30 seconds.
I just want to add two things, just for public knowledge. The first is Jay's 100% right, and actually I was at the meeting last night, and there were even more people there, and they are adamantly opposed to leaving Collingswood. It was frankly the best advertising for a Collingswood school district you could hear. How great the schools are, and et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I just want to point out is we actually are, a portion of the Collingswood board is scheduled to meet with a portion of the Woodland board at some point in the next few weeks. So hopefully we can sit down and talk with them and see what's what.
Thank you very much. One of the things I'd like to also talk about, just on the back of the send-receive issue, and I'll ask you this, Mr. Connor, the one thing that the Pennsauken superintendent, Brian Charchichi, was saying is that Pennsauken High School has the leverage of student body size to offer academies and trade-related certifications and things like that. What are your opinions on Collingswood High School being able to expand or diversify some of its special offerings in order to accommodate things like that? And you can have 60 seconds to respond.
Sure. Well, so I'm the first person in my family to get a college education. Everybody in my family works in the trades. And I can honestly say that I think that trades education is important. Not everybody is a college student. Not everybody is good at it. Some people are really great at mechanics. Some really, there's lots of different types of intelligences. And I think that that needs to be respected. So, absolutely, I think that there's opportunities for students to be able to develop these skill sets in other ways, and I'm sure that Collingswood can accommodate that. The school district that I went to had a full-sized auto body shop, and we were in a blue ribbon, sort of not very diverse community, but it was, we had trades instruction. And I think that's certainly an area that we can accommodate for not just Woodland families, but for all families. I frequently think about the car guys who have, engineering educations, but they chose to work in auto body shops because that's where their strengths were.
I'll give you another 30 seconds to respond to my follow-up question here. How would Collingswood pay for it if, in fact, the thing that allows the school at Pennsauken to offer that is the expanded student volume?
Well, and that's something that, we really have to look at the budget for. There's certainly lots of grants that are available. I think that there's definitely an opportunity for us to research and look through different grant funding opportunities. There's a lot of organizations, particularly in the trades, that are moving into the Camden City area that are going to need employees. I recently read that Caterpillar is desperate for diesel mechanics that start at like $100,000 a year and they can't find them. So there are opportunities to write for grants and to bring in some private investment in order to encourage kids in these fields.
Thank you for those thoughts. Anybody like to follow? Mr. Farrell?
I mean, this is just kind of on the fly, but one of the things that we do already is work with the merchants in town and the businesses in town in terms of, for instance, having our special education students, some of them, go and actually help work at some of the restaurants and stores. We certainly could have that opportunity potentially in terms of those areas to get some of our businesses